Without any further ado, we're going to get to our first presentation. Welcome to Promising Tomorrow.
But 3,000 people with 150 disciplines, everything that you can do to create things like this, and fighting with your team. I mean, collectively working with your team to make certain effects work. We need to have this.
I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these slides because this is not what got built. But I just want to show you.
I want to spend a lot of time on these slides because that looks cool. There was a model of New Tomorrowland, and it said Astronomers Club.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
As something, not Club 33, but something kind of like Club 33.
But my favorite memory of that was watching Cal David go into George's laundry room with a big microphone between his washer and his dryer, singing, you know, gravity, you got a hold on me, yes you do, and just looking through the window of the laundry room at Cal David perched between the washing machine doing sunny clips.
To this day, I think he is still one of the most expressive animatronic figures Disney has ever done. It's just amazing. In the final version, he would be on a turntable, of course, so as he's moving, he can be turning as well.
Career-wise, you probably have to come to the realization that we all can't succeed every time.
See, I don't think it wasn't. I don't think it was not successful. I think it was successful. You know, it was too scary, and I don't know. I'm sure it was to some people, but I would argue vehemently that it was a failure. I don't think it was a failure.
There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.
Yay! That was fun.
This is News Today with WDW News Today. I'm Tom Corliss of WDWNT.com. Please like this video, subscribe, and hit the notifications button to make sure you never miss the latest from the Disney theme parks around the world. Now, before we get to today's news, I got to plug. First of all, I want to thank all of you who streamed Promising Tomorrow's over the weekend. If you didn't stream it over the weekend, you still have 30 days left to do that. And so we're still selling streaming tickets if you want to enjoy that. And remember, all proceeds from that event do go to Give Kids the World. I do want to mention that we released a number of new products via Carousel of Products over the weekend as part of the event. I'll talk about him in a moment. I know you're already freaking out, but we'll talk about him in a second. But I want to mention the other products we have that went on sale over the weekend. I'll start, Katie, should I start with the big stuff to give you a second there? I can start with these. These aren't going to fit on that zoom shot anyway. So first of all, I want to talk about these. These were made exclusively for the event. If you came to the event, you got this signed by all the Imagineers who worked on Space Mountain. But nonetheless, Tim Delaney, who of course was responsible, obviously hundreds of people responsible for making Disney attractions, but at the top of those projects, Tim was responsible for both Hong Kong and of course, the one that I think is the premier version is De la Terre à la Lune, the Paris Space Mountain. But Tim did this wonderful piece, starting with John Hench's sketch for the first iteration of Space Mountain, what would have been the spaceport at Disneyland, and going all the way through all of the Space Mountains around the world. Tim, it's a beautiful piece Tim did some years ago. He touched it up for us at this event. You can get a lithograph of this, and it says 50 years of Space Mountain down there at the bottom. You could pick this up. We also have a second lithograph. I don't know why I did that, but this is my favorite attraction poster of all time. This is the new Tomorrowland attraction poster. Paul Osterhout was nice enough to let us digitally scan his original Walt Disney Imagineering poster for New Tomorrowland. We went throughout, Lori, our executive assistant, went all over Orlando to find the highest res digital scanner available. And so I have this poster at home, and I have never been able to see all the little detail in here, but on this, you'd be surprised, on this print we made, and we were so obsessive to the point at which I was handed 3 nearly identical versions of these and had to like use a magnifying glass to pick which colors I liked better. We're that obsessive. The other cool story, I'll tell a quick little anecdote. So Paul, when they made the original poster, Paul didn't like the colors they ended up picking for this text because he thought it was hard to read. We were asked to update the attraction poster for New Tomorrowland and finally make it the color that Paul wanted. We should have made this say, the color that never was is finally here, is what it should have said on it, but I love this poster. It's my favorite, and we have these available for you right now. And then beyond the posters, I'm gonna put these big guys away now, if I can. These are, again, on carouselproducts.com. We have limited amounts until we run out of all this event stuff. I showed you guys this last week, the Alien Encounter sticker. And tell me, Katie, when we've got that. But this is the 30th anniversary Alien Encounter sticker. It's die cut and it's shiny and it's really cool. And I love Alien Encounter. So this was fun to do. And then, of course, we love Alien Encounter. My favorite part of Alien Encounter, though, was Skippy. So our event magnet, I don't know if you collect these. If you come to our events, you get these. But if you can't make it to the event, we do eventually sell them. And there's a bit of a collection going. I think we still have the Stage 89 ones, which are Gertie, the dinosaur. Those are up on Carousel Products as well. This one, though, is Skippy from Alien Encounter, which, if you saw that presentation Saturday night, a lot of love for Skippy. We love Skippy. And then beyond that, we also have, you guys asked last week, I saw it in the comments, people were asking, but where can I get the Space Mountain Ball? They're available now online at carouselproducts.com. It is also a stress ball. It's not just a ball pit ball. So it serves two functions. It looks like the balls in the ball pit at Space Mountain, but it also is a stress ball, which I like to have these for every time Disney announces they're closing something from my childhood. I just need a bunch of these to squeeze. And also has that 50 years of Space Mountain and the WWE News Today logo on it. And the last product I have to mention is this guy. I don't think we're going to use the zoom for this, right? We'll probably just put him here. This is the Intergalactic Lounge Singer. And, you know, when we talked about doing our first plush and doing Gertie, it was, what is the plush I always wanted to own? And does the rest of the world share that want with me? And so after Gertie was done, we all sat around and were like, well, what are the other park characters that we all want to own, that probably the people at home want to own too, that we could make finally become a reality? And this guy was the answer. So there's two cool things. There's a cool thing about this. So number one, obviously, that he exists. But the second cool thing about Intergalactic Lounge Singer is, I make myself laugh every time. We've done something it was something we wanted to do with Gertie, and we just didn't have the bandwidth or the time to do it. The cool thing is we made a collector's edition. So there is a limited edition of 150 pieces, collector's edition, where he comes in a special box. He comes with a special pin and a special sticker. The pin and sticker, there's only 150 of those made. That's it. And you also get a display stand so he could sit up all the time like this and bring you lots of joy. We do have a non-collector's edition as well. You can just get him if you'd like. Both are available now at carouselproducts.com. We are about halfway sold already on the collector's edition, just from people who came to the event or streamed it this weekend. So I would be shocked if by the time we come back to the show on Wednesday that the collector's edition is still available. We do have, he's a total limit edition of 1,500, which means 150 of them are in the special collector's edition, and the other, 1,350 are available like this, just like this. So don't worry, I still would act relatively fast, but I think you have a little bit of time if you just want to own the regular edition. I do want to also mention it is a pre-order. He was so complicated that we could not get him in time for the event. This is detachable, by the way. This comes off. So his amazing Astro organ can sit separately if you'd like. But he was so hard to make that we didn't get him in time for the event. So he is a pre-order. We did the same thing with Gertie too. It's a pre-order. He will arrive in, we're going to say early, to be safe, we're saying early summer. But if you order now, you'll probably get him before that. It'll be around the time of his actual birthday later this year. So this is a 30th anniversary special edition we've done celebrating his birthday in Tomorrowland at the Magic Kingdom. And you can get him now. Again, carouselproducts.com for all of this, and it's a great way to support what we do here at WDWNT. And Sunny, be sure to keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle at all times. Thank you. All right, Here now the news for January 20th, 2025. Beginning Tuesday, January 21st, Walt Disney World will expand the Lightning Lane Premier Pass pilot program to all guests. The booking window will be consistent with Lightning Lane Multi-Pass and Single Pass, allowing guests to purchase this option in advance of their visit. Guests can purchase Lightning Lane Premier Passes for days they have valid theme park admission, starting at 7 a.m. Eastern Time on their first day of eligibility. Guests staying at a Disney Resort hotel or other select hotels can purchase Lightning Lane Premier Pass starting 7 days before the first day of their resort stay for up to the length of their stay. That's up to 14 days. This early planning benefit is available to guests staying at, again, Disney Resort hotels, the Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin, the Swan Reserve, and the Shades of Green Resort. Guests not staying in a Disney hotel can purchase Lightning Lane Premier Pass 3 days in advance. Guests with date-based theme park tickets, which require that guests choose a start date at the time of purchase, can purchase 3 days before the first day of their ticket for the total number of days valid on said ticket. So if you have a 3-day ticket, let's say it starts tomorrow, the 21st. 3 days before the 21st, you could select not only your you could purchase not only your Lightning Lane Premier Pass for the 21st, you could also buy, if you're going to use consecutive days, the 22nd and the 23rd, if that makes sense. Annual pass holders can purchase 3 days before their park visit when they have a park reservation made. So we told you this would be the natural progression. I know when we did the video review of Premier Pass, people immediately yelled at me that I didn't mention you had to have a Disney Resort hotel room, and I said back, well, that's only for now. Eventually, this will be for everybody, and here we are. The time has arrived, so you no longer need to spend the extra money of staying at a Disney hotel to book this. I'm not going to get into my rant or anything about this. If you want to learn more about it, if you haven't watched that video, we went to the Magic Kingdom when we tried this out, and you could see how it went, and in that video are all my thoughts about the value of it and whether or not Disney should offer it and all of those fun things. We also did the same at Disneyland if you're interested, so go check out those videos right here on the channel. Disney has revealed a new costume and concept art for the upcoming Disney Starlight Dream the Night Away nighttime parade coming to the Magic Kingdom. A nod to the past with our eyes firmly set on the future has become a bit of a motto for the creative team bringing this parade to life. The team is drawing inspiration from not only the rich history of nighttime parades at the Magic Kingdom, of which Disney said there are more than a few Easter eggs, but also some of the Walt Disney Animation Studios' earliest animated features. This reverence for the past will be on full display in the parade's recently revealed Princess Unit, which pays homage to Disney legend and artist Mary Blair's original concept art for Disney Animation's Cinderella. Anchored by a gleaming fountain of light that overflows to illuminate a cosmic ballroom, the float is just one piece of the constellation of classic and contemporary stories that make up this new parade. The Disney Live Entertainment costuming team has been hard at work designing a whole fleet of glimmering garments for Disney Starlight. Using a blend of innovative lighting techniques and whimsical custom fabrics, the team is constructing each look to be kissed by starlight. Disney Starlight Dream the Night Away is a new nighttime parade set to debut this summer at the Magic Kingdom. Previous art we have seen includes a float themed to Encanto and another for Moana. Other films confirmed to have a presence in the parade include Frozen and Peter Pan. We've seen, of course, Peter Pan and Wendy flying. We think that's going to be kind of like what used to be in the Dreaming Up parade at Tokyo Disney, where it was amazing. They were on wires and they flew, and it was one of those wow moments you'll never forget. Disney also released the official logo for the parade, but an official exact start date has not been announced yet. We just know sometime this summer. I was concerned about, if you remember, I was a little concerned about this previously. The Encanto float just being a big candle, it's like, all right. And Moana's an improvement for sure. I like this Princess Unit. Now, it's not like a crazy float. It's nothing crazy, but this is a love letter to Main Street Electrical Parade. I don't know if many of you remember, but the Cinderella units of Electrical Parade, there is a famous float with the fountain on it and the dancers, the ballroom dancers dancing around it, which is carried on today through the Electrical Parade Dreamlights in Tokyo has a similar float to this too. So that is already one of those homages. The fact that they said, like, the history of nighttime parades at Magic Kingdom. There are two, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, one is the Main Street Electric Parade, which is the one that gets all the love. The other is my favorite thing Disney has ever done, and I miss every day. That would be SpectroMagic. And so if there are references to SpectroMagic, if any of the music is even similar to SpectroMagic, I am going to lose it. I'm going to be crying in the street when this thing debuts. So I'm pretty excited now. Also, the costumes look good. Just everything they've said about the inspiration. And I love this. We talked about when we did the honest review of the Country Bear Jamboree, the new one. And this phrase, I think, perfectly sums it up. What did they say? A nod to the past with looking firmly towards the future. That should be the guidance on all Disney projects. They have an incredible legacy of innovation that should be admired and paid homage to, but also at the same time you have to look towards the future and recreate things, but make them relevant to today's audience. Great examples of that: Country Bears, the Adventureland Treehouse at Disneyland, things that pay respect to the past, but are something that is something that everyone of every age, of every generation of Disney fan can enjoy. So I'm stoked. I'm stoked. I'm optimistic, very optimistic about this parade. The Hall of Presidents is now closed to the Magic Kingdom to prepare for the Donald Trump audio animatronic to be added back to center stage, we assume. The attraction is currently roped off with blue velvet stanchion rope blocking the entrance, but a sign on the closed doors announces the Hall of Presidents is currently undergoing refurbishment, signaling essential maintenance work. In addition to the ropes, an A-frame sign sits on the ground outside and simply reads, "The Hall of Presidents is closed for refurbishment." This is interesting because in past years, the signage used to say that the Hall of Presidents was being prepared to welcome the new president. Now, we can get into all sorts of arguments here. Technically, it's a new president, but it's also a president that we've had before. So does that sign still work? Maybe not. I don't know. But with his re-election as the President of the United States, Donald Trump will be the first to have their animatronic moved back to the center stage in the Hall of Presidents, should Disney keep with their tradition. The Joe Biden animatronic, or Joe in general, will be moved to another location on stage. The reason I say that is they don't simply just pick up and move the figures. That's not how this works. The figure that speaks, the current president that speaks, is a much more complicated animatronic than the ones that sit in the back. The ones that sit in the back just kind of, they have their arms crossed, they just kind of list left to right, some of them nod a little bit. Like, they just do some very basic things. So essentially they keep a lot of the parts for that main figure and then just reskin it, in essence. I think it's important to note that. But the Hall of Presidents, of course, features animatronics of all 45 of the nation's presidents. Since its opening alongside the park on October 1st of 1971, the attraction has periodically added those new presidents as they're inaugurated. But speaking roles have been offered since Bill Clinton became president in the 1990s. President Trump did record an oath of office and a speech for the attraction during his first term in 2016. He's the second president to be elected for 2 non-consecutive terms ever, and the first since the attraction opened. It's unclear, again, if Disney will simply reuse his previous recording or request a new one. It's also possibly Disney, again, could remove the active speaking role altogether. Disney has still not said anything about this, but the last time Trump was put into the attraction, it took 11 months for the project to be completed. They were much faster all the other times they've done this. So we'll have to wait and see when the Hall of Presidents will return. At a private event held for Club 33 members this weekend, Alien, Stitch, and several other experiments were set loose on Tomorrowland at the Magic Kingdom. The event was in honor of Space Mountain's 50th anniversary, and guests were able to meet and interact with Stitch, dressed in his spacesuit with all 4 of his arms. He also got to meet the following experiments. There was Reuben, which is experiment 625, Felix, experiment 10. Felix, who is experiment 10. Sparky, experiment 221, Angel, who is 624, Sample, who is 258, and then experiment 627 was there as well. Meeting Stitch in this outfit or any other of the experiments is very rare, but of course it was exclusive to Club 33 members. But those who have run Disney races in the past or been to Disney Vacation Club events have met some of these characters. So it's not, you know, you don't just have to be a Club 33 member. There are other occasional chances to meet them. The other cool part of this event was members were invited to ride Space Mountain with the lights on. We were lucky enough to be there, and so we have a full ride through of Space Mountain with the lights on for you to watch right here on the channel. Check it out. This program is brought to you by our official travel agent sponsor, Be Our Guest Vacations. Your dream vacation begins with Be Our Guest and their concierge team of expert vacation planners. Head on over to beourguestvacations.com/WDWNT, and our team will design your next magical vacation from the Walt Disney World and the Disneyland Resorts to the Disney Cruise Line with, I have to say this right now, Eric's on a Disney cruise booked by Be Our Guest right now. He just left. And then I'll be on one Friday as well. So we use them too. They'll also book Adventures by Disney and more. And they're also able to book unforgettable VIP tours where you and your group can experience the ultimate park day. And the best part is their concierge services are 100% free. Guess we're a little delayed. So book today. They had to wait a long time. We had teleprompter problems earlier. So maybe they fell asleep while waiting for us to actually start the show today. I don't know. The 2025 EPCOT International Festival of the Arts has begun. And while there are many new entertainment offerings and plenty of new art, and there's plenty of new art to see, there's also a lot of new food and beverage items available. You guys are never going to guess this. We ate and drank all of them. Isn't that unlike us? I'm joking. You can watch the video now. Eric and myself, and then eventually Wendy, we tried everything new at the festival this year. You can also read reviews of everything returning and everything new at WDWNT.com if you would like. We recently reported on the sudden unannounced removal of Lil Joe and Inigo from the Seas with Nemo and Friends. The pair of manatees have now been successfully relocated to the Gulfarium Marine Adventure Park near Fort Walton Beach in the Florida Panhandle. According to Orlando Sentinel, Lil Joe and recently added tankmate Inigo departed Epcot in the early morning hours of Tuesday, January 14th, 2025, en route to their new home at the Adventure Park. The pair traveled in individual cargo trucks while Lil Joe reportedly snoozed throughout the journey. I love him so much. I have to go see him. Upon his arrival, Lil Joe was given his favorite treats of sweet potatoes, apples, and a slurry of frozen vegetables called Manatee Gel. Lil Joe and Inigo's move seems to have been recommended by the Manatee Rehabilitation Partnership and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, much like the past Seas resident Manatee Lou, who got moved several weeks ago. Going forward, the Seas will accept more critical needs and shorter-term Manatee residents rather than host long-term stays, which Lil Joe was a very long-term stay. While not confirmed, Steve Soares reported that new manatees will move in at a later date. Now missing its manatees, the viewing area on the first floor of the sea base is blocked with curtains and a rope, and upstairs just with a rope. So no manatees, at least for a little while, but I'm glad Lil Joe's all right. Not to knock Inigo. We didn't get to know Inigo that well. They weren't there that long. But Lil Joe is my favorite, so I'm glad he's okay. Lil Joe, we're going to come visit. I'm speaking as if someone's going to show the manatee this episode of News Today. But don't worry, Lil Joe, we're coming. In anticipation of the show's debut this summer at Disney's Hollywood Studios, Walt Disney World has shared new concept art for the Disney Villains Unfairly Ever After show. The new art shows the magic mirror center stage and villains in each of the portraits above. Hades and Jafar are on the balconies, while Captain Hook, Cruella, and Maleficent are on stage. I think there's 80-something villains featured here, which is pretty crazy. Of the show, Disney said, if you ask them, our villains would probably try to convince you that they've been treated pretty unfairly over the years. And in this show, the Magic Mirror has summoned us to hear them out. Never ones to let a dramatic performance pass them by. Fiendish foes Cruella de Vil, Captain Hook, and Maleficent will break through the glass and take the stage to prove once and for all why they are the most misunderstood. And in the end, it will be on you to make the final call in a delightfully wicked finale filled with dozens of the most infamous evildoers awaiting your decision from within the mirror's realm. So maybe you get to pick like a winner, essentially. So maybe there's different endings. That could be cool. They also shared a look at the artist working on conceptual design for the Magic Mirror. Disney Villains Unfairly Ever After replaces Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy, which closed in late last year. The show does not have a premiere date beyond summer 2025 at this time. We are just over a week after the closure of Chester and Hester's Dino-Rama in Dinoland, USA, but construction crews are hard at work demolishing several aspects of the land. During our latest trip, we stopped near the construction walls to check on their progress. The green construction walls line the entire area surrounding what used to be Chester and Hester's Dino-Rama. And if we zoom in closer, we can see that work has progressed even further on the demolition of TriceraTop Spin since our last update. All the panels on the bottom half of the central spinner have now been removed. The teal panels on the upper half are all angled up, likely signifying their imminent removal as well. And the TriceraTops from atop the ride is now gone. Moving over to the construction walls on the right, we can spot more progress being made on the removal of Chester and Esther's dinosaur treasures. We can see a lift parked near the entrance of the store. Following the removal of the main sign, crew members are now working hard on removing all of the other signs from the roof. Of course, they're going to reuse this store, so they decided this would need to be the first thing they address so they could start working on converting this store already. The image you're looking at now shows what the roof looked like before, and you're looking at what it looks like now. Big difference already. This section of Dinoland USA that included Chester and Esther's Dinorama, Dinosaur Treasures, and TriceraTop Spin closed last week on January 12th. The rest of Dinoland remains open to guests. It's rumored that the rest will close 1 year from right now, that including Dinosaur, Restaurantosaurus, and the Boneyard, Trilobites, and more. And of course, the entire area will be rethemed to the Tropical America's Land, which will be home to the village of Pueblo Esperanza. Meanwhile, Disney held a groundbreaking ceremony for the new Tropical America's Land last week. The groundbreaking ceremony was on January 17th, with Imagineers and executives using shovels to break into the dirt of the former Dino-Rama. So, shovels in dirt, it has happened. The fan-favorite dragon Figment continues his merch takeover of Walt Disney World this January with new plush options at Disney Springs. Formerly the Ever After Jewelry Company, the newly reimagined Ever After store is home to a custom character plush headband station. It offers a variety of mini character heads that can be attached to a base headband for a custom style. And Ever After is located in the town center section of Disney Springs. The Figment plush headband piece is $11.99. Figment is just a head like most of the other character plush options. He has his mouth open in a big grin with 2 orange horns atop and 2 orange spikes on the back of his head. I don't own the headband piece, but I have bought this thing. So I refuse to support the headband, but it's Figment, so I had to have, so I'm just gonna have a Figment head to put somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, it's a little morbid. Did you know there's a way you could save big at Disney Deluxe Resorts? Today's show brought to you by DVC Rental Store, a great way for you to plan a luxury Disney vacation on a modest budget. You don't need to sign up for a full DVC contract, but instead they'll allow you to rent the points you need for a magical stay. It's really the best way to stay deluxe at a fraction of the cost. And now, thanks to their lowest price guaranteed offer, you'll always have the best price on the market. The rooms are discounted up to 75% off at times, and they have the largest inventory for points, so there's a lot to choose from. You could search their availability for free. It is free. Right now, I caught all of you off guard. Right now, which is not something all rental companies offer. And if you choose to book, they have a great cancellation policy and a low down payment. DVC Rental Store is the #1 DVC rental company in the United States. It's one we used before they were ever a sponsor, in fact. So head on over to the description to check them out. All right, get ready, folks. I'm going to read this story, and then it's time for a rant. Disneyland's Haunted Mansion reopened on January 18th with the long-awaited updates to both the Bride and the Hitchhiking ghost scenes. The queue of the Haunted Mansion was recently expanded back in November of 2024. No major changes have been made since then, though the area did debut a new music loop by Eagle Plum in December. Despite multiple rumors that it would be removed, the hanging corpse remains in the stretching room for now. Disney has said it is possible that they will make changes in an article published by the Los Angeles Times last week. They pretty much went out of their way to say that it's going to happen. They said it has not happened for now due to the structural, it's structurally complicated apparently to make the change now. But from our sources and also based on what they said in the LA Times article, that hanging corpse in the stretching room is probably going to be history sooner rather than later. We'll come back to that in a minute. The bat sitting inside of a bird cage has been restored in the hallway scene. This was actually added back when Haunted Mansion Holiday returned its last run. This bat is based on the original concept created by Mark Davis. It was put in the attraction back in 2023 in a different scene, but then was mysteriously removed. We didn't know why, but it finally did come back, and now it seems to be a permanent addition. Meanwhile, the new Bride finally debuted, replacing the murderous Constance Hatchaway. And when the ride was last opened in its standard form, the scene with Constance Hatchaway had no window behind where she stood, but the new scene has that window now added with stars visible in the background. And a ghostly cat with one glowing eye stands next to her on the ground. So the one-eyed cat finally really made it into the attraction. It's not only just a little light-up statue in the load area. the one-eyed cat finally now part of Haunted Mansion for real. The new bride holds a candelabra and has a beating heart of bright red light. Imagineers alluded to the idea that the bride is also the invisible ghost carrying the floating candelabra in the hallway scene towards the beginning of the ride. Several new projections have been added to the graveyard scene, both near the Doom Buggy and further in the background. A new floating candelabra has also been placed next to the ghost singing opera, replacing a phantom in a tomb. This may also be related to the continuous storyline of the new bride carrying it as she can use, I guess, probably looking for her long-lost loves. The thin scrim placed in front of the ghost in this scene now has a new projected fog effect. The Hitchhiking Ghost previously utilized the old classic effect of Pepper's ghost, the same effect used in the ballroom scene. The effect was achieved with actual figures in another room and their images projected by mirrors. This has since changed to digital projections of the ghost, which are now there. They're not that bad. They look okay. The full POV video of the new Haunted Mansion at Disneyland is available right here on our channel. I'm going to rant about a couple things right here, right now. And we're also going to talk about the LA Times article because it comes back to the AI art story and the new shop. Let's start with the stretching room. We talked about it many, many, many months ago that there was a chance Disney was going to get rid of the hanging corpse in the stretching room. We had heard when this project started they were looking at getting rid of it, and pretty much they admitted in the LA Times article that they're looking to get rid of it, but they're not ready just yet. So go say your goodbyes, because it's going to happen. Here's the thing. I understand. We're going to talk about sensitivity a lot. That's going to come up again when we talk about Constance Hatchaway in a minute. Look, I know people are very close to who took their own lives. I don't know that those people nor myself would be offended that there is a ride somewhere that has, you know, scenes of how people, it's a haunted house, right? I mean, I think we all understand we're going to die someday. The ride is about us all dying someday, right? Of course it's a morbid thing to begin with. Does it make it less morbid? No. You know, I think it's a little silly. I do think it's a little, I'm sure they get complaints. I'm sure people complain. People complain about everything. I do think that one is, I think that change is silly and sad, and it takes away, similar to when we lost the redhead in Pirates of the Caribbean, it takes away something that is one of those things that is most associated with the ride, and when you start losing scenes that are the ones that are most associated with the ride, you start to lose the ride. Now, Kim Irvine, who I have a lot of respect for Kim. She's done tremendous work in her career. She's been there a very long time, and I appreciate her very much. She was very standoffish in the interviews, and it's not the first time. It's not the first time she's been interviewed about changes in a ride, and she kind of blew off the fandom and said, well, our job is to change things, and you have to deal with it. I'm paraphrasing. But that's what she said. Look, Kim, I think it is your job to try to, if things have to be changed, to come up with something that is equally as good. It's not always a case, we are not always just mad because something's different, right? Don't get me wrong, there are people in every fandom that it is, you've touched anything and I'm grabbing my pitchfork because you changed a thing. And it is true, their job is to change things. That is absolutely the job of Imagineers. Now, it is also their job to make something new that is so good that you are okay with it and you resign the thing that they replaced to nostalgia and you remember loving that, but you're also happy because something new and cool and meaningful has replaced it. If they're gonna rip out the hanging corpse, they had better damn well be sure to have something as good in its place, something as meaningful or better in its place. I wish them luck because again, like every fan, I hate to look at things and go, man, that used to be better. I hate that. People think I love that. People think I sit here and rant because it brings me joy. No, the rants are inspired by anger and resentment. And I love nothing more than when the job is achieved, than when the goal is achieved and they do a better job or at least do something as good as what was there before. Now, let's talk about the bride. A lot of people are mad about the bride because they're young and they have no idea what they're talking about. Now, so before Constance Hatchaway, which was not that long ago, folks, what is that, 2005 at Disneyland and 2007 at Disney World, I think? It's not that long ago. Well, I mean, that is when we started the website, but it's really, in the grand scheme of a 60-year history of something, or sorry, 55-year history of a ride, that's not that long. I like that scene. I didn't have a problem with that scene. But at the same time, they said it in the LA Times piece, technology had passed it by. It stopped looking good. It started to look like a mannequin with a projected face on it. And once it reached that point, it was time to do something new. Now, to their point, they said they didn't like the fact that they were celebrating a murderer. They didn't like that. So she was basically being celebrated that she murdered all of her husbands. I get that point. It's silly, again, because what the ride is. You know, obviously people, you know, murder is a way people die, and it's comical. There's not some bride out there just lopping off multiple husbands' heads. It's a bit much to that shouldn't be the reasoning. The main reasoning should have been the technology had been passed by, and if you're going to redo the scene, how do we make this better? And one of the things to make it better is to go back to the roots of the attraction. And the roots of the attraction is that silent bride where you kind of make the story in your head. You don't really exactly know what happened. But the old bride was just, and I know people are going to say, oh, you replace figures with projections. The original bride didn't really move a whole lot. It wasn't a full-fledged animatronic. But it was cool. The beating heart, the glowing eyes, it was spooky and creepy. And at the same time, you didn't have to go for the low-hanging fruit. You didn't have to see a hatchet appear for it to be scary. She was scary enough just holding her bouquet and her candelabra. That was enough. And I love that the new one, it's basically she's returned, but you know, brought to today's standards of creepy. I think it's fantastic. I love it. And I love the fact that they also realized that, hey, you know, there are things about the constant scene that work really well. We like the changing portraits. So instead of just their heads vanishing, we'll make the whole husband vanish. What's cool about this is definitely stolen. In a lot of ways, the storyline is now stolen from Phantom Manor at Disneyland Paris, which the whole ride is based around Melanie, and she loses her husband. And we won't get into how she loses her husbands, because it's definitely murder. It's not her that did it, but it's definitely murder. In this case, we don't know what happened to the husband. So it's just this sad bride who's looking for love because, she's essentially cursed and something has happened to all of her lovers. Very similar to Phantom Manor in a lot of ways. And the same thing where at Phantom Manor, it is the bride who is holding the candelabra. Now, she'll actually flash in, but, we don't need to hit people on the head with it at Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. I like this through story. I like this little story where it's like, well, there's the candelabra, and oh, it's the bride, and she's looking for her lost loves, and then she's even in the graveyard still searching. I love that. I think that's great. That is Disney storytelling. That is what Imagineers do. Imagineers' job is not to change things. Imagineers' job is to make things better. Sorry, Kim, but, and I think in this case they did. I love this. I think it's great. And then, obviously, it is sad to lose the practical effect of the Hitchhiking Ghost. That being said, projection technology has come to the point where they look about the same. And so I don't know if I'm mad. I will be mad in a couple of years if this effect doesn't hold up. So the projection effect in Florida looked great when it debuted. And of course, with Walt Disney World maintenance and care being what it is, the scene has crumbled. And you can see where like the projections vanish for a second and then pop back in. There's like a break in the projection. They're not lined up perfectly. The Florida scene looks like garbage all the time now. If it could be updated to this or this new scene is maintained, I would be very happy with that. I think that would be great. But philosophically, I have a problem with removing the physical hitchhiking ghosts, but in the way it was carried out, it's hard to be mad when it looks as if they're there anyway. Like I want to be mad, but I can't be because they achieved it. So there's that. Now, I want to talk about the rest of the LA Times piece, which Kim got pretty feisty about the store at the exit. Now, the first thing she said, what's funny is I agree with her in several cases because she basically said the exact things I said to all of you when I talked about this story, which number one was the AI ghost art. She said it was a placeholder. Is that true? Is it not? She also said basically, we can't make all the props. We do have to go out and find props. We can't make them all and fill the whole space. That's unreasonable. And that's true. Totally agree with that. Now the AI art, if it was temporary until they waited, until other props were gonna arrive that are custom made, which they did say there are more paintings and tapestries that are handmade that are coming, you know, I totally get that. It was like, well, what can we throw up on the wall? And someone did a quick search on Amazon or Google, and they found that and were like, okay, for a couple weeks. And people were looking to hate that store. People were so mad at that store already that they went in there and like, I think that's AI. I'm gonna find out. And then we all went to war with Disney about it. Yeah, and so here's the thing. When it's the Briar Patch is the store that's it's not at the exit of the ride at Disneyland. It's up on the hill. It's basically across from Hungry Bear. When they took out the Splash Mountain pieces of art and put in those home goods ones they found online, I was very upset. But I said when we recorded, I said, I hope this is temporary until something real is ready. In that case, that's okay. And that's what happened. They bought those 3 temporary pieces, and then when the Lewis store opened, Ray's Berets is the store. When Ray's Berets opened, I went in there and I look up and I see they did, in the same style as Splash Mountain, they did these wood-carved pieces, the wood-carved pieces with Lewis and Ray, and I go, okay, that is an equal trade. You replaced original art with original art. That's great. They did a great update of that store in total, too. And this is another one of those cases where something was bought, they thought they can get away with it for a couple weeks. We didn't let them get away with it, and here we are. Look, I still think Kim needs to be media trained again, maybe, because she's real mean to us. And I need her to back down a little bit. She also talked about the exterior of the shop, though, and she defended, saying, we couldn't have a dirty, basically she said, we can't have a dirty building next to this clean building. Walt wanted the exterior to be clean, so we gave it a clean exterior. It doesn't have a lot of details on it because, you know, a carriage house wouldn't. It's something that's out back, it's where the horses are, and it's not meant to be this extravagant building. And I agree with her. I do. Look, the scale, I agree with people on the scale. The scale is off. But she also said the obvious thing, which we all know is something that Imagineering has to fight with operations all the time on. The store could have been bigger, and they certainly wanted it to be. I totally believe that. I know how these stories go. I believe her. I get that. But at the same time, I wish they had looked at the scale a little bit more. Do I think the store is as bad as people say it is? No, I don't. I really don't think it is. But to each their own. I respect your opinions. I understand. I just don't agree. But I see where people come from. I see where they're coming from. I get it. I just don't agree. But that's my rant on Haunted Mansion. But man, I can't believe we live in a time where we're gonna lose. Essentially, the stretching room will change forever. And it makes me sad. I really hope they pull it off. There are some great people in WDI. There are some hardcore Haunted Mansion fanboys and girls at WDI. And if those people are involved, I believe in them. Coming off of the Haunted Mansion parlor, I absolutely believe that there are Haunted Mansion fans in WDI who can make something really incredible and special. And I hope they are given the chance to do so. With the absence of the Magic Happens Parade and several months to go before the debut of Mickey and Friends Celebrate Happy for the 70th anniversary, Disneyland has brought back the brand new day Mickey and Friends Cavalcade to supplement the entertainment lineup. The beginning float of the Cavalcade is a large drum with a wooden Mickey Mouse standing over it. This float was previously used at Disneyland for the 2019 version of Mickey's Sensational Parade, but it first debuted in the 2013 Happiness is Here Parade at Tokyo Disneyland. My favorite daytime parade all time, by the way. We have a video here on the channel. Please go watch it. I love it so much. The music playing for this cavalcade, though, is the Brand New Day theme, which was created for the 35th anniversary of Tokyo Disney in 2018. My first trip, and so this little garbage cavalcade ticks all the boxes for me. I don't know if it's going to tick boxes for guests, but for me, at least, it's working. Following the large float is a group of dancers. They're wearing the same costumes they did in the 2022 run of this cavalcade. A car from the Main Street Vehicles is used to transport Mickey and Minnie down the route. Mickey and Minnie are followed by a group of walking characters that includes Chip, Dale, Pluto, and Goofy. And the large double-decker omnibus is used to transport more characters, including Miguel and Pinocchio. And following the bus is a group of walking characters, including the Mad Hatter, Alice, Mirabelle, Jasmine, Aladdin, the Genie, Captain Hook, and Peter Pan. And a final yellow car brings up the rear with Donald and Daisy Duck seated out towards the crowd. The Mickey and Friends Cavalcade is performing at 1:45 and 2:45 p.m. daily. You can watch our video right here on the channel. Of course, the Lunar New Year event has kicked off at Disney California Adventure, and we were there over the weekend to bring it all to you. Specifically, Nana and Ashton were. Hopefully today you're going to get to see that full video with all of the food reviewed. But in the meantime, you could watch lots of videos, including Mulan's Lunar New Year procession and so much more right here on the channel. There's also a load of posts up at WDWNT.com. Be sure to check out all of our coverage. A lot of fun stuff happened over the weekend. The red car trolley is set to close next month, with February 8th, 2025 as the last day of operation ever for the attraction. The red car trolley allows guests to climb aboard a vintage trolley for a scenic ride through Buena Vista Street and Hollywoodland. The trolleys are modeled after the Pacific Electric Railway trolleys that crossed the Los Angeles area from 1887 to 1961. An extended queue has now been set up for the trolley because they're expecting long lines as we get towards the end of its life. Metal stanchions with ropes have been attached to the poles that mark off the regular queue area. I expect this to get even longer as we get towards the end. I don't even know what a last day for an attraction that seats this few people looks like. I don't remember what the capacity is. Is it like 20 people? Is it less? I don't have it off the top of my head. It doesn't seat a lot of people. So I imagine that last day is going to be wild at the red car trolley. We're going to be there. So if you're going to be there that day, look for me. I will be riding that trolley back and forth up the street all day because I love it so much. I want to go say goodbye. But last December, we reported that Disneyland planned to leave one trolley parked on Buena Vista Street so guests can continue to take photos after the attraction closes. It's a nice consolation prize. But the red car trolley is closing permanently to make way for Avengers Campus's expansion. Construction on the expansion is set to begin right now, essentially, any day if it hasn't already. It'll include the attractions of Stark Flight Lab, starring Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, and Avengers Infinity Defense, a world-jumping attraction featuring a battle with King Thanos. But I love the trolley. I'm sad that we're losing it. I think it's silly to not find a solution, but I guess it is what it is. But that one really bums me out. I don't care for this decision. For the absolute latest on these stories and all that didn't make it into today's show, be sure to check WDWNT.com and follow us on all your favorite social media platforms. You can support the entire team behind the show and others by joining the WDWNT Inner Globe Society at patreon.com/WDWNT. Get access to exclusive content, discounted show and event tickets, like tickets to watch News Today live, like we're doing today. You get those tickets at events.WDWNT.com, by the way. There's also more benefits to being a WIGS member, and a special shout out to all those WIGS members watching who make this show happen every week. For the worldwide leader in Disney Parks news, this is Tom Corliss and Intergalactic Lounge Singer saying, enjoy the rest of your today and have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.